So we have another prominent space expert dealing with UFOs, researching UFOs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, who has passed away, and once again suspicions have arisen. So in this video I'm going to recap some of the scientists and researchers and specialists in UFOs and space technologies that have either gone missing or been killed, and I'm going to tell you about some of the new updates. And before we get to that, I'm very excited to reveal that the FBI are actually now officially looking into these deaths and these disappearances. A lot of people want to brush this under the rug and say it's nonsense and these are crackpots and there's nothing's going on here, but I don't personally believe it. And apparently the FBI don't believe it either, and they're going to be looking into this. So let's get into it. Let's break down some of what's going on, and you're going to see that it keeps happening and they don't want you to notice what's going on right in front of you, but we can see the truth. So this is the latest. The FBI have announced an investigation into the missing scientists, and this is it being reported.
This week, the FBI announced that it is now investigating a string of mysterious deaths and disappearances involving top U.S. scientists over the past several years. Some had reported ties to the UAP community, the UFO community. Today, and now look, I've covered this with Ross Coulthart, and I've been doing a lot of reporting on it where I've been reading into it, and I haven't really attacked it because I think it's more correlation and interesting for social media, but not really true causation. But today, we got thrown a curveball. Amy Escridge is one of those who is dead. We know what happened to her. She's dead. We don't know how she died. It was ruled a suicide, but this happened back in 2022. She'd been working on anti-gravity technology, allegedly sent alarming text messages to a friend just a month before her suicide. These were the kinds of messages. If you see any report that I killed myself, I didn't. If you see any report that I overdosed, I didn't. She continued, if you see any reports that I shot anybody, I didn't. Now, you could say, okay, maybe she was struggling. These are pictures of her hands. She said that she had been hit with some kind of weird energy ray device, and her hands were red. Her window had weird marks on it. News Nation has been digging on this. We talked to the person who says that he got sent these texts, and he is a former intelligence official. But her father and her family says sometimes scientists just die. They kill themselves like our daughter did. They don't believe it was suspicious. Given her claims of harassment and those texts, is that why the FBI is looking into it? Let's ask former FBI special agent in charge of the Tucson office, Andrew Black. This is a weird one. And now, look, some of them, I get why someone with your sophistication will say this is tantalizing journalistically, but not forensically, not investigatively. But this is weird, these messages right before it happens.
Yeah, Chris, you're right. This is something you'd expect to see in a Hollywood movie or in a novel. You know, and take into account the type of work that Amy was involved in, anti-gravity technology. The stakes are very high as to national security purposes on what she was working on. The fact that her parents may feel that she did commit suicide doesn't mean the other things she reported weren't true. And maybe these things contributed to her taking her life. We don't know. And that's why it's great the FBI is investigating this at this point. But she was very specific that she felt she was being followed, stalked. She had evidence that someone had broken into her residence and gone through her personal belongings. And she told friends that she feared for her life. Oddly is this allegation that she was a victim of directed weapon energy. That's a rare thing, but also just adds more intrigue to this story.
So look, I personally think something's going on. Now, my opinion is that this is a hostile foreign government trying to take out very smart people in the United States who might be developing technology that is going to make America unbeatable in wars. Now, there's been more research and some more information around Amy's suspicious death. Researcher Mark Sokol, who actually conducted Amy's interview back in 2020 that went viral, he spoke about witnessing and experiencing attacks while he was in her presence. So he thinks it's all true and he witnessed it.
Yeah, so let's get into that then. When she visited you, and I think this is what you talked about with Tupac on the stream, where a whole van and stuff like that. Go into as much detail as you can about that event and what happened there.
Yeah, so when she was here, we were sitting on the couch and we had just made popcorn. We were going to watch a movie, and the popcorn in the bowl started to pop again. And, you know, it already cooled off, so it started to pop again. And
Whoa!
She started to like.
And you witnessed that yourself?
It was in my
too?
It was in my hand.
Wow.
And she started to like scream and vomit. And she's telling me they're attacking us. I opened up the door where, you know, the energy weapon would have been emanating from, because it was just in line with the couch. And sure enough, parked across the street in where there was a parking lot, but the parking lot is for a restaurant. The restaurant was closed because of the pandemic. The car was parked not in a parking spot, but like facing the door. And the front windshield was tinted, which is illegal. The front windshield of the car was tinted. And I thought that was very suspicious. I ran back inside. We went into the Faraday cage, and she was like trembling. We were like really scared about that. Simultaneously, they hacked my Amazon account and put a gun in the checkout, like a BB gun, Glock,
Whoa.
whatever.
So he's saying they hacked his Amazon and put a fake gun in his cart. That is insane. That is really, really scary, okay? And that does make me think that it's hostile governments involved. But let's jump forward to April the 20th, 2026. Ironically, that was the very day that David got arrested. And this is when the very tragic news came out that UFO researcher and author David Wilcock tragically passed away. And this would be kind of the latest suspicious death in the UFO community. So I'll read you the full article. It says, UFO researcher David Wilcock found dead in Colorado. Coroner's office confirms his death follows an explosion of conspiracy theories about an alleged string of deaths of people tied to sensitive research. So this says, famed UFO researcher David Wilcock has died at the age of 53 in Boulder County, Colorado. Wilcock was a significant figure in what's known as the disclosure movement, a belief that the US government was withholding information about extraterrestrial life. His death follows an explosion of conspiracy theories on social media about an alleged string of deaths and disappearances of scientists tied to sensitive US research. A flood of tributes to the late influencer have appeared on social media, with Representative Anna Paulina Luna describing his death as tragic. We're praying for his family and loved ones and the millions of lives he impacted, she wrote on X. Included in her tribute was a reference to the Bible verse John 8:32, which reads, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." So the office of the Boulder County coroner, they confirmed that he made the decision to check out himself just after 11:02 a.m. on April the 20th. The details of the incident were first reported by the Boulder County Sheriff's Office, which shared a statement revealing they received a call around 10:44. The same day, during the call, the individual appeared to be experiencing a mental health crisis. Now, that would have been just around 15 minutes before he allegedly did it. Upon arriving to the property, which was northeast of the community of Nederland, they found a man with a weapon. The coroner's office confirmed that this man was Wilcock, who turned the gun on himself. Deputies searched the residence and surrounding property and didn't locate any other individuals. There's no known threat to the public. 2 days before his death, he shared a post addressed to his dear family on X. He said, "I'm not sure yet if I'm doing a show tomorrow. I've had some very intense stuff going on this weekend. Either way, I want you all to know how much I love and appreciate you. Always remember the Creator is within and we live in a loving universe." A day later, he shared on the same social media platform he had slept miraculously well and planned to host a live show about a picture posted by President Trump in which the commander-in-chief appeared to resemble Jesus Christ. Wilcock regularly appeared on the History Channel program Ancient Aliens. His YouTube channel Divine Cosmos with David Wilcox racked up over 46 million views and had over 500,000 subscribers. Fans of the UFO theorist have suggested he may be the reincarnation of clairvoyant Edgar Cayce, with biographer Winfrey and Wilcock himself publishing a book on the subject. The House Oversight Committee announced in a press release on Monday it would be investigating the deaths and disappearances of 10 scientists linked to U.S. nuclear or space research programs. The FBI will also be launching its own investigation into the matter. Monica Razor, who served as the director of NASA's Lab Materials Processing Group, vanished while hiking in California in June 2025. She remains missing. Retired Air Force General William Neal McCaslin disappeared in February 2026 after leaving his home in Albuquerque with a .38 caliber revolver. According to the press release, an MIT scientist working on nuclear fusion, a government contractor working at nuclear weapons component production facility, and a pharmaceutical researcher among the other missing or deceased officials. President Trump told reporters on Thursday that the disappearances were pretty serious stuff, but hopefully a coincidence or whatever you want to call it. So it's all very, very suspicious. Now, I'll be real, the way that the death went down in this case, it's hard to see it as anything other than a mental health crisis. But following increased interest in the case and the suspicions around this, the Boulder County authorities released a detailed timeline of exactly what happened to try and quell the public's fears that this might have been some kind of assassination of a UFO expert. So it says, due to significant public interest in this case, we're releasing a timeline of our response to the residence of David Wilcock on April the 20th, 2026. The release of information is made with the consent of his family, who understand the high level of interest in this investigation. At the family's request, we're also including a statement from them, which follows the timeline. The family respectfully requests privacy during the difficult time as they grieve and process this loss. So on April the 20th, 2026, at 10:44 a.m., Boulder County Communications Center received a phone call from a person who identified himself as David Wilcock. The caller stated, "I need to leave. I will be to the left of the house." He continued speaking about health issues and financial concerns. The caller would not answer the call taker about whether he was armed or if he was planning to hurt himself. At 10:53 a.m., first Boulder County Sheriff's Office deputy arrived to the area and waited well off the property for backup to arrive, since it was unknown if the caller was armed or what their intentions were. At 11:01, a second deputy arrived with the first deputy, and the second deputy was briefed, and a plan was made on how to safely approach the property. Both deputies then drove towards the residence. At 11:04 a.m., the caller stated, "I'm sorry to put you through this," and disconnected the call as deputies were driving up the caller's driveway. Deputies observed a man sitting outside the house holding a gun to his head. Deputies exited their vehicles and sought cover. At 11:04:42, deputies heard a firearm being discharged a single time in an unknown direction. At 11:05 a.m., a deputy officer observed the man still holding the gun to his head. A deputy commanded the man to put the gun down. The deputy witnessed the man shooting himself. At 11:06, deputies on the scene coordinated numerous additional personnel to respond and assist with searching the area. Deputies began conducting a search of the property and residence to ensure there were no other people on the property who could be at risk of a threat, and no other individuals were found on site. The man was pronounced dead at the scene. So 2 days later, the Boulder County Coroner's Office officially identified the decedent as 53-year-old David Wilcock following scientific confirmation and notification of next of kin. Now, this is a statement from David's family. So they said David Wilcock took his own on April the 20th, 2026, after a long struggle with depression and overwhelming financial debt. His family and chosen family hope this loss encourages more focused attention to mental health access. David was born on March the 8th, 1973 in Schenectady, New York. That's a crazy one. During his childhood in upstate New York, he was a curious, sensitive, and introspective child, drawn to reading science, research, and questions about how the universe works. He spent much of his time journaling and developing a vibrant, imaginative inner life. He laughed easily and had a big heart, and he loved animals, meditation, music, scientific study, and lemon cake. From childhood, he had a deep curiosity about telepathy, lucid dreaming, the occult, palmistry, and the predictions of Nostradamus. Like many young people, he experienced painful periods of struggle and difficulty. David grew up in a close-knit family that cherished music and art, was in his first band as a teenager and played many instruments throughout his life. He developed strong interests in psychology and spirituality, subjects that would later shape his ethos and vocation. He attended State University of New York at New Paltz and received a bachelor's degree in psychology. David spent his life writing extensively about subjects he was deeply invested in. Some of David's most consistent messages concern the importance of focusing one's energies on service to others and the divinity of all human life. He cultivated a wide community around him based on these tenets. He was known to the world as a New York Times bestselling author with a voluminous body of work, including The Source Field Investigation, Synchronicity Key, The Ascension Mysteries, Awakening in the Dream, The Reincarnation of Edgar Cayce. David was widely known as a media personality and lecturer, examining issues such as UFOs, UAPs, and the paranormal, but this only tells part of a story of a life that, like any other, unfolded through internal struggles, evolving beliefs, and a quest for meaning. David lived in a time shaped by the internet. He himself helped shape a segment of it. The powerful medium of communication magnifies both connection and confusion. Ideas travel quickly, expand logarithmically, and reshape thought structures. In remembering David, it's important to hold more than one truth at once. That some of his work raised concerns about misinformation, and he was also a person who was on an eternal quest for clarity. Beyond his public persona, he was a human, navigating the same complexities and vulnerabilities that shape all of our lives. His passing is a reminder of how important it is to meet one another with open minds and compassion in our hearts. The loss of a life can turn our focus to our shared humanity, whether we agree on life's unanswered questions or not. David's life will be remembered in a myriad of ways by many different people because of the far-reaching nature of his teachings and because he considered his audience a community. While he was known as a charismatic and engaging teacher to fans, those who were closest to him knew the depth of his untreated mental health struggles intimately. Many who knew him from afar have speculated that there is a cover-up involving his death, but we can assure you there was no foul play. The family of David Wilcock. So look, I'm sure a lot of people are going to try and put the conspiracy theory spin onto this one, but this unfortunately does just seem like an obvious tragedy. Now, there are definitely some suspicious things in here. I don't mean to take you in the wrong direction. Obviously, this is an absolute tragedy. But a lot of people are pointing to the fact that just 24 hours before his death, David Wilcock actually did a live stream where he would actually personally discuss the pattern of scientists dying and disappearing recently, suspiciously.
You know, every day that I have on Earth is a gift and a blessing, and I'm very grateful for that because, frankly, people are disappearing. Scientists are going missing. Now they're saying they're going to investigate this. The president himself is saying they're going to look into this and see if anything's going on. It's a little bit scary. I got to say, it's a little bit scary. But you guys knew that I might still show up, even though it was last minute and I've had a really rough week. Like, you know, that's kind of like every week. But somehow we keep on making it through all of this. Somehow we keep on grinding our way through this thing and keeping on track and having it work out. So, my God.
You know, it just makes me sad watching this. And this was just the day before. Let's see what some of the people are saying in the comments, people that knew him. This guy says, I'm a personal friend of David. Okay, can we... So he says, I'm a personal friend of David who just learned of his passing. I was at his wedding, and I've known him 17 years. David's stance on the karmic implications of the S word would have prevented him from taking his own life. He believed the price of doing would be so enormous, and he believed his mission in this incarnation, no matter the cost. I do not believe the official story at all. Edit, a few days after I wrote this, it was confirmed by his family that a letter was left and that David did do this. It's obvious that he did it under extreme emotional pressure, and though it's out of character to many of us, despair is a powerful force. R.I.P. my friend. Who else is here after learning what happened? He didn't do it. Anyone else here today checking to see if David posted? Really sad. David taught about the karmic consequences of doing that. He didn't do it. David literally said on video multiple times that he is not that word. The video above was not made by somebody that was feeling that way. Web of lies unraveling before our eyes. He would never do that. Justice for David. So it's really, really sad when there's all this support for him, but it just sounds like it was what it was. People are saying murder, right out murder. He did say people were after him. He wasn't feeling that way. You all know that. Call it what it is. It's just really sad. So elsewhere in this video, he would actually also open up about his recent weight loss journey and just his general sort of overall well-being. And again, it does definitely paint a picture of somebody that you just will be surprised did what happened. But I don't want to, I definitely, you know, it sounds like all the evidence supports that's what happened.
We're going to get way into disclosure. So, oh, well, you're looking slim and super hot. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, even the jawline is very nicely cut right now. You know, I even have like blood vessels that are starting to show up on my neck. You know, like a little more than usual there. So if I do that, yeah, that's pretty freaking cool. Getting the neck veins, man. Those are sexy too, aren't they? I mean,
I need to lose some weight like David Wilcock, man. The jawline looking fire. So he would talk some more about this, and really this is where it starts getting a bit suspicious, because later on in this live stream, and it looks like, you know, it's a high quality stream that he had going. He had a really good setup here. It's just so sad to see what he left behind. But he would actually open up in this. He would say that a natural death is the only death, and he'd reflect on his spiritual views, giving kind of more fuel to the fire that he would have never done this to himself.
Shepherd for everybody in this galaxy. We're all interconnected together. It's wild. I love this. 10:16. The reason my Father loves me is that I lay down my life only to take it up again. That's the ascension. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down on my own accord. I have the authority to lay it down and the authority to take it up again. This commandment I received from my Father because he's an ascended being. Again, most of us can't do this. You don't get to resurrect. If you lay down your life, you're done. So please don't do that. Please don't be stupid. Okay? It's something you never want to have to go through. And again, you know, natural is the only way to go. But anyway.
So it's just bizarre hearing him say that. You know, he said a natural death is the only way to go. Very, very sad that he ended up going out like that. Now, even with the depression that he was suffering from, he seemed to be optimistic about the upcoming UFO disclosures.
This is well underway. Well, again, 46, how many hours does it take to find 46 videos if you already have them? But okay. It's probably going to happen at the right time. What do you mean, you people? I guess Ross Feinstein, thank you. He says he's definitely out there. That's funny. Anyway, so yeah, this is very cool. The process is well underway. They're going to release it. And Turning Point people are a little bit out there. Okay, this is awesome. And we found many very interesting documents, I must say. And the first releases will begin very, very soon. Well, that would imply like this coming week. Let's hope so. I'm tired of waiting, man. We need disclosure. We need it now.
So he was excited for the UFO disclosures that were coming up. And, you know, it's just sad to see him go out like this because, as you know, as a fellow content creator and YouTuber, you know, he had a great setup. He had a great stream. And, you know, even he voiced how happy he was to be engaging with his audience in this live stream and setup that he had. You know, he seemed to really be good at what he did and enjoyed it.
Done. So I'm really happy that I got to bring you the show today, guys. I didn't know if I was going to do one. I was really down. My energy has been really down from these symptoms that I've been having. It's been very hard to work. I've had a really low energy situation, but you know, the more that I can get ahead of the game and get back on track, the better it's going to be. We are going to try to do a launch here, get that going so you guys have something to order and make a product. But honestly, I've just been too sick to be able to do it. It's really scary. I even thought about, you know, well, should I go to the hospital? I don't really want to. I don't really want to deal with all that crap. But anyway, if you guys...
So look, he'd been going through it with his health. He hadn't been feeling too good. Now, interestingly enough, in that same live stream, it actually is really sad that it would be during that live stream, David actually found out about the death of his co-author, and that was posted in a clip here.
A lot of interesting things going on, and it's a good thing. So, oh my gosh, it's sad to hear Winfrey just passed away. Bright butterfly wing. That is so weird. Because last night, I was lying in bed and thinking, wouldn't it be sad if Winfrey passed away? He's the guy that wrote the Reincarnation of Edgar Cayce book with me. Last night, I had that thought. I am not kidding you, and now you're telling me this. Lotus Girl says, I can't listen to your comedy. Well, sorry. Everybody really likes it. A couple people don't, but it's not very often. I think you'll be able to make it. I think you can make it. Anyway, a lot of people like it. Wow. So, yeah, he was my co-author. I did not know that he passed away, but thank you for telling me.
So sad, man, for him to just find that out. So it would be him, Winfrey, who apparently died just days before David Wilcock's. And this would be reporting on his death, David Wilcock's death. Community claim his biographer, Winfrey, died 2 days before the UFO author's alleged decision to end things. Says Winfrey, the writer who co-authored a book with David Wilcock exploring reincarnation and spiritual transformation, reportedly died just days before Wilcock's own death on April the 20th. The exact date remains disputed. Producer and author Jay Weidner placed Free's death on April the 18th, while spiritual practitioner Andrea Fulks stated it occurred on April the 14th. The location and cause of death have not been publicly confirmed. Free and Wilcock co-wrote The Reincarnation of Edgar Cayce, Interdimensional Communication and Global Transformation, published 2011 by North Atlantic Books. The book examined parallels between Wilcock and American clairvoyant Edgar Cayce, covering theories of reincarnation, death, and ascension, themes critical to Wilcock's broader belief that he was Cayce reborn. Based in Flagstaff, Arizona, Free was a writer, poet, and songwriter who also spoke publicly on New Age spirituality. He appeared at events including San Francisco's New Living Expo, the Holistic Living Expo, and Church of Religious Science in La Crescenta, California, the Unity Church of Flagstaff. He also hosted workshops with a collaborator named Terry, during which he reportedly played guitar, and attendees described experiencing unusual energies in the room. It says Jay Weidner noted the timing in a social media post, calling it a weird twist of fate. Andrea Fulks echoed the same observation on Facebook, pointing out that both men who wrote a book centered on Edgar Cayce died within 2 days of each other. Very, very odd. So 2 men who wrote a book on Edgar Cayce, one who believed he was his reincarnation, both died within a week of each other. Winfrey died on 14th of April 26. Now David Wilcock dies on the 20th of April in odd circumstances of mental instability 6 days later, according to police reports. Blessings on their souls and to their loved ones. All on the day Bram Stoker died in 1912, who wrote Dracula. It says Free attended Central High School, according to his Facebook profile. No further biographical details have been publicly confirmed, and his Facebook profile's last post dates back to May 2025. Community has also noted Free's death could also be rumors. So more recently, a letter was actually released by David's family on the topic. So this is an update from Instagram. So this was apparently the letter that David wrote to the family that was released by the family. It says, I do deeply apologize to everyone if something like an accident ended up happening. Thank you for loving me. I feel I've done the very best that I could. My health has collapsed from poverty, starvation, and disease. I have now almost completely run out of money. I did my very best to keep on going for as long as I could. For my family, friends, and all my greater family of supporters, I want you to know how much I love you and how sorry I am if something ended up happening to me. I know that accidents are possible in my reduced state. I hope this serves as a valid outline for a path forward in the event that I was lost and that I have your forgiveness. I feel I've done the best I could in a very difficult situation. That's just really, really sad, man. That's so sad to see. And I feel for him, man. I know what it's like to be depressed. So following David Wilcock's death, someone close to him actually came out to announce, once again, there's no conspiracy. This was just a tragedy.
Don't think it's a conspiracy, but it's certainly a dialectic. we talked over, David and I, and some of my study partners have been talking about the word like dialectical, and the difference between the dialectical and paradox, and that two things can be true, generally opposite, but true at the same time. The dialectic is when we don't resolve them, we just accept those two situations and live within them. So yes, you, the audience, are correct when you looked at David's last show and said, you know, he was making anti-self-harm comments on his show. That's true. He did make that, and he was staunchly opposed to, he knew the spiritual and karmic implications of taking one's life. He was well aware. We discussed it many times. But I think that's part of the dialectic.
So look, that's what happened. Okay, that is what happened. He spoke openly about not wanting to do those things, but unfortunately he succumbed to that temptation. And as he said in his final letter, you know, he's sorry, he did the best he could. He fought it as much as he could. Maybe he really didn't want to do that. But here's the reaction over on Reddit. People saying another UFO researcher found dead. David Wilcock claimed he would never harm himself back in 2022. In 2022, he felt the need to let people know he would never do that. He was onto something important. 4 years later, he dies by his own decision alongside 10 other scientists and researchers. It's worth noting the author who was helping David write his biography died 2 days before he did. His name is Winfrey. It says, dude, this guy was on Ancient Aliens. It says, so we're like up to like 12 space-related deaths now in a very short period. Nothing to see people here, just move along. It's beyond effed up. I've been following this for a while. Only now more people are talking about it. The FBI claims they're looking into it as of yesterday. The fact they weren't looking into it until now says it all. A day prior to his death, he was live talking about Trump. Uh-oh. What was he saying? So this is a long post that he did. And this was, I believe, he was announcing his next stream that didn't happen. He said, I slept miraculously last night and decided to go live today. Why in the world did President Trump post that Christ-like picture? Has he lost his mind? Are we going to be okay? Is he the Antichrist? How does this affect war and disclosure? I was admittedly freaked out when I saw this, and I wanted to know what the heck is going on. What is up with the demon at the top of the image? As we'll discuss, surviving a shot to the ear was he was wounded on one side, yet lived, like in the biblical sense. Is this the greatest bloody satanic video of Trump circulating today actually real? Grok says no, thankfully. Are we all in a big psyop here? Are we going to make it? Is there a schism between POTUS and the Alliance? Why have they posted things implying there is? Why is he turning on top influencers like Tucker, Alex, and Candace and acting so strangely? I want to have an honest discussion about this and not just sugarcoat it. I want to hear your thoughts. We will dive deeply into disclosure, current events, and the true meaning of Christ within. Unfortunately, he passed away. So, look, I don't think there is a conspiracy. I think the police report is actually really helpful, and I think it's actually a great service to the community that they did by putting out all of that information to counter any possible conspiracy theories. But it is really sad, and if anything this story is teaching me, there might not necessarily be cosmic or, you know, hostile government reasons for people passing away, but it does make me wonder, what's the deal with all of these people working on these secret alien projects that are feeling so depressed and hurting themselves? Is this a really depressing field to work in? Are they not getting the money that they deserve? Are they not getting the support they deserve? Like a lot of the American veterans don't seem to get the support that they really need, and there's a lot of mental health struggles there. I really don't know. But look, I can't come out of this video saying to you like, oh, well, this is based on the evidence I've seen, I don't think this is part of the conspiracy, but it is really sad, and it just goes to show you that this space, even if it's not any conspiracy reason for people to be going out like this, there's definitely some very dark mental health disadvantages of working in this field. So I'll leave it at that. And if I hear anything more about this story and the FBI's investigation, I'll update you guys. I hope you're finding the David information useful that I've been putting out there. And I'm going to be back with another video on clavicular in a bit. So I'll see you in that one. Peace.